The winter air in Lanford was biting, a cold so deep it seemed to settle into the very foundations of the old house. The front door stood wide open, allowing the freezing Illinois wind to howl through the living room, swirling around the worn furniture. Harris stood in the center of the room, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, her breath visible in the dim light. "Grandpa, when can we close the door?" Harris asked, her teeth chattering so hard it was difficult to speak. "I am freezing. I cannot feel my nose. But I do not know if that is a finger thing or a nose thing. Perhaps we have got to fix the leak so the outlet does not short out again." Dan Connor did not look up from the scorched wall outlet he was inspecting. His large, calloused hands moved with a practiced weariness. "Once the smoke smell is gone, we can put the television back and close the door," he grunted. At least it was warm for a second when the flame shot out of the wall. He stood up, wiping soot onto a rag. "You know what? We are all uncomfortable right now. Suck it up." Darlene leaned against the kitchen doorway, her expression a mixture of fatigue and maternal defense. "Hey, just because you are in a bad mood, do not take it out on Mark," she said. "He is a sweet, innocent kid who does all our laundry." Mark looked up from a basket of folded clothes, offering a small, conciliatory smile. "Your stuff is sitting in the dryer. By the way," he told his grandfather. Dan sighed, the frustration leaving his shoulders for a fleeting moment. "I am sorry, kid. It is not you. I have got some stuff going on." "That is okay," Mark replied, his voice hopeful. "But is it going to keep you and Louise from coming to my a cappella concert? I cannot hang on to these house seats forever." The mention of Louise caused a flicker of discomfort to cross Dan's face. "Louise is not going to make it," he said shortly. "She is not too happy with me right now, but I will keep both seats in case I nod off and fall to the side." He turned toward the kitchen cupboards, desperate for a change of subject. "Okay, I found something we can all have for dinner while we warm our hands on the trash can fire." He pulled 3 cardboard boxes from the shelf, his brow furrowing as he shook them. "I am going to start right here in the kitchen. 3 boxes of macaroni and cheese. And they are all open. And the cheese packets are missing. We have been the victims of a very odd burglary." Darlene raised a hand sheepishly. "All right. That is on me. The nacho chips we bought at the auto parts store did not have enough cheese on them. So I re-cheesed them with the packets." Dan stared at the empty boxes for a long moment. "Well, we can probably put something else on it," he reasoned. "We got Chinese mustard packets and red chili flakes. So just throw that on the macaroni and see who taps out first. Another way to solve this problem is by somebody going shopping," Harris suggested, looking pointedly at her mother. "I have got 3 hours of the New Hampshire primary to watch," Darlene countered, ignoring the hint. "I have to walk for school tomorrow, and I would like some snacks." Dan nodded, his eyes wandering to the flickering television screen. "That is great. I think it is important for kids to learn how politics work." "Yeah, the early primaries are exciting," Darlene added, her voice taking on a familiar edge of social commentary. "That is where you get to see the candidates with integrity and vision right before the rich ones swoop in and crush them with their corporate campaign." "Wow, Mom, that is pretty cynical," Harris said. "I think people with integrity and vision can make it all the way to president. Like George Washington. He was rich." Darlene shot back. "He did not want it. They forced him." "Okay. Then Lincoln." Harris tried again. "Shot." Darlene replied flatly. "Hamilton," Harris suggested. "Yeah. He was good. But he was not president," Darlene said. "He is just a character in a really cool musical we will never be able to afford to see." "Oh. And shot. You cannot stop me from being optimistic about this country," Harris insisted, her youthful defiance sparking. "Everybody has the right to be heard. Did you know that anyone can just pick up the phone and call the White House?" "No way," Mark said, looking skeptical. "If you cannot call the Rock, you cannot call the White House." "Watch," Harris challenged, pulling out her phone and dialing a number on speaker. Thank you for calling the White House common line. A polite, automated voice announced. Hey, are you crazy? Darlene hissed, reaching for the phone. They're going to trace this back to us and put us on the no-fly list. When was the last time any of us flew? Harris laughed. If they ever put us on the no-bus list, then we will have a problem. Why are you scared of the government? They work for us. You can even tweet the president and tell him what you want. I am not scared. Harris's thumbs flew across her screen as she typed. Hi, at Real Donald Trump. Since you work for us, could you send us some cheese packets for our macaroni? This is at Real Mary Connor, from Lanford, Illinois, where Chicago is. He will probably answer back. That guy loves to tweet. That is how we learn where our military is. Just then, the front door creaked open and Becky stepped in, looking frazzled. Look who is here. Darlene teased. It is good to live on your own. But you miss your mommy. Do you not? No. Becky snapped. No. Gross. My laptop died. I wanted to see if it came with a warranty. Of course it did. Darlene joked. She will just send it back where she bought it. She will mail it to guy on off-ramp with old army jacket. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to figure out how to get me a new one. Becky insisted. Are you insane? Woman, Dan asked, gesturing to the empty kitchen. We do not even have food. I will just take Marcus. Becky said, reaching for her brother's computer. Oh. No. Mark protested, pulling it back. It is mine. And I am going to need it to write my report on the primary. I will write it for you. Becky offered with a sly grin. The primaries are cool because I am a dork and all my best friends are my teachers. Hey, just because your brother is a dork does not mean you can have his computer. Darlene intervened. Yeah. And you should be taking this election seriously. You are finally old enough to vote. And whoever wins New Hampshire is the early leader for the nomination. Oh. No. Harris sighed dramatically. What happens if the person that I do not care about gets the nomination over the other person that I do not care about? All politicians are the same. No, they are not, Darlene argued. Yes, some of them are terrible, but if you do some research, you will find that some of them are really, really terrible. If you vote, you will be proud that you helped elect somebody who is just terrible. And that way, when your politician screws you, you can say, hey, that is my guy or gal. A knock at the door interrupted the debate as Louise entered the room. Hey, Louise. Darlene greeted her. What is up? Well, we were on our way to the grocery store, but that seemed like a lot of work, so we came here, Louise said, glancing toward the kitchen. Oh, Becky, I was just going to call you. I am leaving on tour with my band on Wednesday. I was wondering if there is any way that you could cover my shift for a week until my replacement starts. Sure. Becky agreed. How long are you going to be gone? At least 3 months. Louise replied. The room went silent. Becky looked at Dan, who was suddenly very interested in the kitchen faucet. Wow. Dad did not mention you were going on tour. He did not. Louise asked, her voice tinged with disappointment. No. Becky confirmed. Yeah. I bet he was upset when he found out you were leaving. Did he tell you he did not want you to go? No. Louise said, looking directly at Dan as back. He told me he thought it was a great opportunity and I should take it. So, I am taking it. Once Louise had stepped into the other room, Dwight leaned toward the group. Dad is an idiot for letting her go. A woman in this town with that waistline and no drug problem. You are not going to find that. I bet he already regrets it. That is why he has been in such a bad mood. He is afraid she is going to meet somebody on the road. Why would Louise cheat on Dad? Mark asked, confused. They are dating. Are they? Though. Darlene questioned. The one time I saw them touch. They were sitting on the couch. He nodded off and fell to the side. I cannot believe Dad is going to totally blow at Louise, and there is nothing we can do about it. Oh. Hell yeah there is. Becky said, her eyes lighting up with a plan. Dad has not dated in like over 45 years. It is like chipping a Neanderthal out of the ice. We cannot just shave him and throw him on Tinder. We have got to step in. Okay. So what you were saying, Darlene summarized. You are going to get Dad to tell Louise that he loves her in 2 days. He has never even said that to me. Take a hint and move on. Becky joked, then got serious. Look, we all know that Dad opens up when he drinks. Right. So we just fake a little going-away party for Louise. We get a few shots in him, and then maybe he will tell her how he feels and cement the relationship. That is a great idea. Mark said. No, it is not. Darlene countered. Look, it is all I got. Becky insisted. Do you want to be helping Dad off the pot when he is 80? I am back to liking it. Darlene admitted. Later that evening, Dwight cornered Louise in the kitchen. Louise. I could not help overhearing. Even though my Nana calls eavesdropping the devil as radio. But I work with Dan every day, and no matter what he says, he is going to be missing his lady like crazy. I am not his lady. Dwight. Louise said firmly. And between us, Dan could not commit to having a real relationship. So I broke up with him. Louise. I am shook. Dwight gasped. Look, I can understand what a tough nut to crack Dan is. This one time he and I had a few beers, throwing firecrackers at one another. I made the mistake of opening up. But it is okay. I did not say I love you for him. I said it for me. Yeah. I feel your pain. Dwight. Louise sighed. I am just glad I am going on this tour. I really do not want to see him right now. Back in the living room, the siblings were huddling. So we get him in the same room together and just let the magic happen. Becky whispered. I think Dad is really going to thank us for getting involved. Maybe your dad will. Darlene warned. My dad is a vengeful God who will strike us down and scatter our bones to the 4 corners of the earth. Maybe. Becky laughed. But up until then, it is a party. The news was still reporting on the New Hampshire primary. What is the update? Dan asked, returning to the room. They are saying Bernie won it. But there could be some Russian hacking. Harris reported. Putin is in second. Huh. Dan barked. The Russians are so bad at hacking he is only in second. Seriously. How is Buttigieg doing? You are only asking me because we are both gay. Harris replied with a smirk. No. I just thought you were really into mayors. Dan said. Okay. I am sorry I made the assumption that Buttigieg was your candidate. Harris said. That was pretty unevolved on my part. The door opened, and Ben walked in. Looking at the television. Watching the primary. He noted. How is your boyfriend doing? Wow. Ben. Darlene sighed. Some people do not get it. Right. He is an excellent politician and qualified to be president. But he is not necessarily my candidate just because he is gay. Did all black people vote for Obama? Yeah. Pretty much. Ben answered. About 96%. Becky walked in from the back bedroom. Beverly Rose is asleep. Can I get my babysitting money now? Here you go, Darlene said, handing over some crumpled bills. You get the other half if you are here when I get back. Fine. Becky agreed. Darlene looked at the ticker on the screen. That is a record. Rick Klein. Any idea? Is the primary almost over? Yeah. Klobuchar held at 20%. Harris said. Her hair is taking credit for the strong showing. It does not matter. Darlene muttered. Bloomberg just bought the entire state and renamed it New Bloomshire. Is your boyfriend still in the running? Oh. My God. Harris groaned. When you do not take this seriously, you get the government you deserve. It just so happens that Pete has a lot of interesting ideas about healthcare and a puggle rescue that is incredibly cute. Becky grabbed her coat. Becky, we better go. We gotta get there before you die. Oh. Man. Warren only got 9% of the vote. Mark noted sadly. Oh. That is too bad. Dan said. You know, she is in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame along with Tom Joad, Dunsbury, and Foghorn Leghorn. If we have to watch this stupid thing, then let me have the laptop. Harris demanded. I got to study for my general equivalency degree. Oh. What does GED stand for? Mark teased. General equivalency degree. Harris snapped. There. You just passed. No. You are not even going to study. Mark said, holding the computer away. You are just going to take an edible and then surf the web for post-ironic t-shirts. What the hell? Harris shouted, lunging for him. You almost broke my laptop. You psycho. You do not care about my stuff. You do not care about anything but yourself. Relax. It is not broken. Mark said, stepping back. Warren, you do not live here. So why do not you just leave? Harris yelled. And do not say goodbye this time. Either. What? Mark asked. Shocked. You are mad that I moved out. Yeah. You just walked out and left me here with these crazy people. Harris cried. Hey. Whoa. You do not get to make me feel guilty just because I am trying to live my own life. Mark argued. If you look around at our family, you might not know it. But people are supposed to move out. I have no one to talk to now. Harris said, her voice small. I told Grandpa that I had a boy crush. And we ended up watching Spartacus and eating a bucket of fried chicken. So you got fried chicken. What is your problem? Mark asked. You know what? I do have a problem. Harris said. But it is a waste of time talking to you. Screw you. We only have one television in the house. You have to leave. A few hours later, the family gathered for what they called a going-away party. Though the mood was strained. Well, first I think the loser is certainty. The news anchor announced on the screen. Oh. Hey. Becky. Louise said, preparing to head out. Thanks for offering to close up. It is pretty dead. I'm just gonna go home and pack. Where the hell are DJ and Dad? Darlene hissed. Louise is gonna leave. I will stall her. Becky whispered back. She turned to Louise with a bright, forced smile. Wait. I'm not gonna see you for a while. And I just want to let you know what an inspiration you are to me. And all the things you have taught me. Like putting rice in the salt shaker sinks. Surprise. Everyone shouted as Dan and DJ entered the room. It is your going-away party. Dan looked horrified. You told me she already left. He whispered to Darlene. Yes. I did. Darlene admitted. You know. You guys. This is really sweet. Louise said, looking for the exit. But I have to get home. Wait. Not until we get a good picture of you guys together. Becky insisted. Yeah. That is a great idea. Darlene added. That way you can have a picture of Dan they did not take with you on the road. They change so fast at this age. Louise. I knew nothing about this. Dan said, his face red with embarrassment. Oh. Hold on a sec. Becky muttered, fumbling with her phone. I cannot get it off selfie. Why did you not tell your family we broke up? Because if I talk to my family, that just encourages them to talk back to me. Dan replied. Oh. Jiminy Christmas. Becky complained. Now it is on landscape. Hold on. Well. Look. I do not want to embarrass anybody. Louise said to the group. Let us just do this quick. And you can tell them when I leave. Okay. I got it. Becky said. The flash going off. Oh. Wow. This is really great. But I have to get home. Louise said, moving toward the door. I am leaving so early in the morning. Then why go to bed at all? Becky suggested. Let us do some shots. To Louise. We are going to miss you. To Louise. The family echoed. To Dan. Who is going to miss Louise? Darlene added pointedly. To Dan. To Louise and Dan. Who will miss each other? Darlene continued. To Louise and Dan. Marlene. Stop. Dan warned. Okay. Dad. Then you make a toast. Darlene challenged. To Louise. Dan said quietly. I said stop. Dan shouted, finally reaching his limit. I know what you are doing. And I do not want to do this. Louise. Wait. Let me take you home. No, Louise said, her voice cold. I need this to end. And I really need you to leave me alone. She walked out, the door slamming behind her. Dan stood in the center of the bar, feeling the weight of 45 years of solitude returning. Sorry, guys, DJ said quietly. It covers the President Day in, day out. Why the president has not targeted Mayor Pete really at all, besides making fun of his name. Hey, I checked the primary on my phone, Harris said, trying to break the tension. Did you notice all the candidates are like a gentrified neighborhood? All rich, white, or gay? Aunt Jackie entered the room. She will watch the baby now. You can leave. Look, I am not going anywhere. Mark said to Harris. I want to hear about this problem you have got. You know, you are just doing this because I made you feel guilty. Harris said softly. That is the only reason anyone does anything good. Mark replied. Come on. Spell the T. Remember Austin. Harris began. Well, we kind of got together again. But he ignores me at school because he does not want anyone to know he is gay. He even makes fun of me sometimes. And it makes me feel really bad about myself. But I like him. Dump his ass.